Yani ke ani dan ulit natang ida magas makara ngoto yayam be siru bara ngoto ke tunya ji kinyo ay tunya ji lu fudi kala dek ole ukati ko ngota twan bu bula je no kare ngoto anye nye firna twan ngota la twan fer lolo ngota twan kata dunga anye nya lo kore. That is what
The 9th of July 2011. After more than 20 years of civil war and over 2 million deaths, South Sudan has seceded from the north and become the world's newest country. As celebrations flowed and the people of the south began to enjoy the freedom of independence, the outward optimism belied the problems facing this vast, fledgling country. I arrived in South Sudan in January this year to learn more about the issues now facing this new nation. Prior to secession in July of last year, Sudan had been a country of two halves. The north, Arab, Islamic and highly ambiguous in its African identity, was in total contrast to the south, Christian, animist and solidly African. Before the merging of these two distinct areas by British imperial authorities, the only real contact between the two had been Arab slavers travelling down the Nile and seizing black Africans, an aspect of history that many Southerners have not forgotten. In 1983, after years of marginalisation and discrimination by the Arab North, discontent simmered over to open hostility and brutal conflict, as Southern armed forces came together as the Sudan People's Liberation Army, or SPLA, and declared war on the northern government. The civil war was truly devastating to the people of South Sudan. Like many African conflicts, of the 2 million left dead, comparatively few casualties came through the barrel of a gun. Rather, the sporadic fighting caused a humanitarian disaster. As the various belligerent armies raided the local populace, there was mass civilian death through hunger, displacement, and disease. Thousands of desperate, starving people were forced into internally displaced people camps, or IDPs, from where rebel groups were able to steal food arriving from aid organisations, prolonging the war yet further. The result was an unending cycle of exploitation and death. To add an extra dimension of misery to this conflict, this man, an ambitious young officer named Riek Machar, led a breakaway group against the SPLA. His rebellion had a clear ethnic flavour. The SPLA leadership had been dominated by members of the Dinka ethnic group, whilst Machar's rebels were largely made up of the minority Nuer, who resented the Dinka dominance. Over the next few months, Machar's forces killed and burned their way through a swathe of Dinka tribal lands, often stealing cattle, the lifeblood of the local communities. As always, it was the local populace who suffered. Mr. Makar is now the South Sudanese Vice President. Having finally won independence, at the cost of so much, the hope was that South Sudan could now find peace. But the truth is that this country is already at war, with itself. A rebellion still festers in the north, urged on by Khartoum. The shared South Sudanese identity was based on opposition to their traditional enemies, enemies that have now disappeared. As a result, much of the political unity seen at independence is already gone. However, the greatest challenge comes in the ugly form of intercommunal and tribal violence, in particular in the remote northeastern state of Jonglei, where vicious attacks have claimed the lives of at least 5,000 people in the last 6 months alone. The tensions there are so severe that many are concerned about a large-scale massacre or even genocide occurring. The conflict inevitably goes hand in hand with cattle rustling, as these herding communities base their lives around their animals. The tropical southern town of Yei, which suffered so badly during the civil war as a regional capital of the SPLA, is home to Bishop Elias Taban, a senior figure in the South Sudanese Church. He regularly travels to Jonglei at great personal risk to both check on the humanitarian situation and organise aid distribution campaigns. I asked him to tell me a little about the importance of the cattle to the people of Jonglei State.
Well, these tribes in history, they have been nomads, and their life has been totally on the cattle, because the cattle is all in all to them. They use the cattle for their food, the milk, the meat, and they use it also for paying dowries, and they also use it for other businesses purposes. They can sell them out and make a bit of money out of it. So to a Dinka or a Nuer, a cattle is just the life. You know, you may even prefer to lose your brother rather than losing all your cattle, because when you lose all your cattle, then it means the whole family is gone, because there will be nothing left to survive on.
Could you please explain a little about the wider conflict in Jonglei?
Well, the conflict in Jonglei basically had been provoked by cattle raiding. The Murle people, actually, who went before and raided among the Nueri tribes. That was last year, sometimes back there. And they killed about 600 people among the Nueri tribe. But then, of course, the government, the UN, and everybody, the church, they all came in to negotiate for peace, and like told the Nuer people, it's fine, please don't do anything. But instead, what happened is that this year, now the Nuer youth mobilized themselves, and they moved into the Murle area to retaliate, where they killed 3,000. They were killed 600 the previous year, but they came in and they paid back the 3,000 children, men, and women that were killed. As you know, it is on the media and it's on the internet. But then of recently, as people are rushing to Pibor because of what the Nuer did to the Murle people, the UN and the government and everybody is busy rushing to Pibor. And as you live from Juba to Bor and you go to Pibor, there is this Duk County, which is a Dinka tribe, who are bordering the Nuer and the Murle people. So the Murle people, they knew that now in Pibor and in those areas, and even in the Nuer areas, there's a security tight now. Instead, they came to retaliate on this innocent Dinka tribe of in Duk, where they killed 120 people. The Dinka from Duk has never been to the Nuer area to kill them. It was a Nueri and Murle conflict. But these innocent people were surprised. These people raided into their village, killed the children and the women, took all their